Good morning. Day 13 YouTube challenge of 30 days in a row videos. So as I say, this is day 13. So today's subject is all about why I'm creating this plan, why I'm building a freedom plan from, being 45 basically. So building a freedom plan after 40 is the title. And why I decided to do that? Well, it's simply because most people think that once you get to 40 that life slows down. But it really doesn't. That's just your mindset. That's just people from generations past that have always come back with that sort of excuse, basically. Yes, when you get to 40 plus, things change body, physical, emotions, hormones. Like me, for example, going through the menopause. But that doesn't define you. Yes, it's something that happens and it's a change in your life. Yes. But the end of the day, you're still you at the end of the day. You're just simply more mature. You've matured more like a fine wine, as I say. Not that I drink. But yeah, at the end of the day, you just follow life experience and work life experience. So at the end of the day, it's not a negative, it's definitely a positive. So when people think it slows down, it's like an excuse then to stop trying. Well, I'm not about that. I don't like the idea of just stopping and that's it, just settling. Settling doesn't come into my vocabulary. Yes, I did coast for a very long time. I hit a slump. Yes, I went through a bit of a depressive state, but I always had a drive and desire inside of me to be my own boss. And that's never, ever changed. That's always been the same. So for me, it is about the exact opposite. It is about building freedom lifestyle for me. Now, freedom lifestyle can be different for so many people. Everyone's got their own whys, like I've talked about before. Your why is your passion, your drive. Your why is what helps get you out of bed in the morning. So for me, it's about building my freedom plan now. And here's why. So, for example, the truth is that, the pressure of menopause and work and, commitments and things, and as I say, the financial pressures, I was fed up. I was sick and tired of being skint all the time. I was fed up of not being able to enjoy life the way I wanted. And that's not to be extravagant as such. It's just simple things like going out, for meals with friends or, meeting up for a coffee or being able to upgrade my wardrobe every couple of months or something. I've never been in a position to do that. And I was fed up of, having to wait for the sales or, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes you do need things. Maybe something happens where something rips or tears or a hole appears in something that cannot be mended or fixed. Then you need to go out and replace whatever that is. I remember there was a time where I was wearing a pair of winter boots that leaked. I didn't have the money to replace a pair of winter boots. And here in Wales, we get a lot of rain, especially in the winter months. So my feet were constantly getting wet, which is not good. So it took me a while before I was able to buy a pair of new shoes, a pair of winter boots. When I did get a pair, I was so grateful. And I always have been grateful regardless of my situation, with money and things. But it was really, it kind of was embarrassing because I'm a grown woman and I can't even afford a pair of shoes, and I don't buy designer. I'm not interested in labels. Don't get me wrong. Some things are nice, yeah, but I really don't live for designer clothing. Each to your own. If you like design stuff, then that's your prerogative. But for me, I prefer to spend money on holidays, as you know. That's my passion, always has been. So I just wanted also to think, well, yes, I'm going through the menopause, but I'm not going to let that stop me now for putting things in motion finally, because at least I know where I stand. I know what's going on with my body now. I'm not losing the plot. Yes, I might be losing my memory, my short-term memory at times. I might not be able to function when I want at times, but that doesn't mean I still can't try. It might take me twice as long to get there, but so be it. I mean, I'm certainly doing far more than sitting on the sofa feeling sorry for myself. So I'm basically focusing and driven to achieve what I want. And I will get there because I've already made a start. Momentum takes time, but it is definitely going in the right direction and it's picking up. And I just don't feel that life is too late for me. I just really do feel like this is just a new chapter in my story. And the reality is that when things hit you, when you put life into perspective, I mean, when we had the pandemic, that should have given everyone a big kick up the backside, basically, because how many people did we not, did we lose, and we were not able to see, things that we used to always do, and now we're lucky enough to do again. But we also lost a lot of people as well. And that should have helped driven people. That should have made people think, do you know what, life is too short. As soon as we're back out of lockdown, I'm going to go out and do X, Y, and Z. But unfortunately, it didn't shake up everybody. People are still asleep, in my opinion, or their eyes might be open, but they do not see. And I think that's the difference. They're not physically awake. They're not mentally awake, they're just stuck in a rut. And I felt like I was stuck in a rut because being in debt, feeling terrible all the time with the menopause, and when I was still desperately trying to get answers for 2 years until I was 42, I felt like I was losing my mind because we were going through a lockdown. I lived in a flat. I didn't have a garden. I was really confined to a tiny, tiny space. I lived on my own at the time. I didn't have a job because my job had cancelled the day I was supposed to start. We went back into lockdown on the 26th of October, 2020. And yeah, everything completely knocked me for six. However, I'm not going to let that continually keep me in that groove. I got out of it eventually. It took me time, yes. But I'm not going to let that keep me down in that position anymore. And I think, like I say, the clarity hit me, and I just thought, right, come on, you know what's going on now. Stop doing, the wallowing over, oh, you're going through menopause. Let's do something about it. Let's put it back into a positive. Let's do something with this. Let's be driven. Let's follow those dreams that I've always wanted to do. Like I say, travel is my passion, always has been, always will be. And, fast forward now 5 years later, I have finally started a business in travel, and I'm absolutely loving it. I really am. I'm with so many amazing people from different walks of life, from different parts of the world. That alone, I get fascinated and happy and driven about anyway. But now being able to be able to do things for myself and reap the benefits in so many different ways, not just financial, but to be with like-minded people. For me, that's just a win-win, right? So time is precious, like I say, and I refuse to spend the rest of my life in a 9-to-5 grind. I don't want to be stuck in an office for another 22 years. I like to be outside in fresh air. I like to be able to open a window. Where I'm currently based in the office, I cannot open a window. There are no windows to open. From health and safety now, we're not allowed to have windows that open. So I can't even do that. And in fact, it's quite extreme in the sense of the aircon is stuck on a very, very low setting, which is absolutely knobbling. Yes, it's great when you come in from a very hot environment outside, but once you've been sitting there for longer than about 20 minutes, you are starting to feel freezingly cold, to the point where you struggle to type on a keyboard because your fingers are that cold, your hands are that cold. One of my managers actually wears fingerless gloves. She wears a thick full-length cardigan. I wear a scarf. I wear a coat. I wear a cardigan. I wear tights. These are all things that I would wear in the winter that I'm wearing in the office because the temperature situation hasn't been resolved for over 6 months. Now, it doesn't exactly motivate you to go to work when you know you're going to be sitting there freezing cold all day for 8 hours minimum. Right? So it's things like that as well. It's not just about the financial, it's about the work and environment. It's about feeling happy and comfortable where I am. I don't want to have to commute if I don't want to. I don't want to have to get up really mega early just to drive in to get a car parking space because there's limited parking. So many things, guys, I just don't want to do anymore. I want it to be on my terms. The only time I want to go out the door is for me, is because I've decided to, not because I have to. Big difference there, okay? Financial security, one stream of income is not secure anymore, guys. I don't care what people say. I don't care who you work for. It isn't enough, for one. Okay, if you're really, really high up and you're a CEO of a business, yeah, you'd be on fantastic wage. But for majority of us who are on the bottom line, and are driven, are talented, are experienced, but cannot get anywhere, it's extremely hard to survive. It really is. You know, to live on your own is just forget about it. You know, you'd only be able to, house share, flat share, whatever. You can't live on your own these days. Even if I was wanting to do that now, which I don't, because I'm in a good relationship now, but that's not the point. You know, I should be on a salary that I can be able to make ends meet and not struggle. Well, on a full-time wage in one job only, I was struggling, okay, which is why I started a business on the online, because I can work this around my full-time job. You know, I'm in control. I do what when I want, and no one is dictating to me. If I want help and guidance, it's there. If I want training, it's there. You know, that's what I love about it. And I think most importantly as well is to become a role model, to give people belief and to give them inspiration in themselves, to drive themselves, that, to prove the impossible, basically, rewrite your story. Just because your parents and your parents' parents didn't do X, Y, and Z, it doesn't mean that you've got to be stuck in that rut and do the same. You know, if they never had a business, but you want a business of your own, then do it. You know, just because your family or your friends don't agree doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that they don't understand, or they don't have your drive, they don't have your passion, they certainly don't have your vision, and they don't want you to better yourself because they'd be afraid that you're going to change and leave them behind. That's what a lot of it's all down to, and that's fact. You know, I would rather be on my own. Honestly, I really would prefer to be on my own and be happy and do what I want, knowing I'm making an impact for the right reasons, than be in a 9 to 5 job that I'm just going to be miserable in and just be with the same crowd. Doesn't do it for me. You know, I see more than that. I see above that. And it's not because I think I'm anything different or special. It's just I know that it's more important for me and my mental health to be happy, fulfilled, and to feel like I'm doing something for a good reason and a good cause. So this is why I've started my online business. This is why I'm battling through menopause. I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm not going to let it drive me down and make me stuck in a situation, in a rut, because I'm going through the menopause and that's it now, life's over with, because it's certainly not. It really isn't. And I just want the freedom. You know, health and freedom to me equals energy, and where energy goes is where freedom goes, and freedom grows. And the more I put in now, the more freedom I'm going to have later on. So yes, it's going to be a little bit painful for the next couple of years, building businesses, building YouTube, building a community. But I know long term, it's all going to be worth it. I really know in my heart, in my stomach, my gut feeling, everything, my intuition is screaming at me, telling me this is the way to go. This is what I need to be doing. This is what I should have been doing years ago. And I'm finally doing it. It's taken me a lot longer to get here, but I'm here, and that's all that matters. And I'm accountable. What my plan looks like now, basically the travel business, growing that, having flexibility, having an extra income, paying off debt, being able to then have enough money saved up in the bank so I can walk away from my full-time job, creating digital products and create an income from that passively, creating and growing this YouTube channel, sharing in my journey and building a community of like-minded people, inspiring people, helping people, encouraging people, And the exit plan, like I say, is my 9 to 5, exiting the 9 to 5, working or doing what I want when I want. I love being a creator. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to happen. Why? Because I'm putting action in every single day. I'm putting steps in motion every single day. Doesn't matter how small the step, it's still a step in the right direction. Nobody shot up to the top of the mountain straight away. You have to climb the mountain, okay? And that is by one step at a time. So if it takes me 3 to 5 years, it takes me 3 to 5 years. I will still be retiring far sooner than in 22 years' time. I will soon be sacking the boss far sooner than having them being able to legally allowed, whatever, procedure wise, contractual wise, whatever you want to call it, 22 years is a long time to be stuck in the rut for a long, long time. That's going to make me really ill mentally. I know it will, because it will give me massive anxiety. The thought of it now gives me anxiety. So I know that this is going to work. I just don't know how. That's the exciting part, is letting go as well and not being a control freak like I normally used to be. I have mellowed in some ways, and it's true. Sometimes you do mellow in certain ways when you get older. I've realized the importance of life. I've realized from working in hospital wards, mental health and general health, wards in hospitals and secure units, residential nursing. I understand about life and death more. I literally put that into perspective. When something goes wrong, I question it. Did somebody die? And if the answer is no, then why am I worrying about it? Don't get me wrong, I don't like to do anything to hurt anyone. I won't do anything deliberately to upset or, nothing I do is on purpose to hurt or to harm anyone. That's never my intention. I'm not built that way. I don't function that way. I do believe in kindness. And I think kindness is underrated. It's not a weakness. It's actually a strength, because it takes more to be more compassionate with someone and listen than it does to be all angry, defensive, and just want to argue and, have conflict with people all the time. Why waste that energy? Your energy is so important. And I'm going off on a tangent a bit here, but you can believe what you want. But I honestly believe when you consume yourself with negative, bad, angry energy within your body, that's where diseases start appearing. And that's why things start happening and going wrong. That's another belief and another topic of conversation for another time. But I'm a true believer in that. You need to let go. Seriously let go. The amount of people that have let go of different things in their life that they've held on to, anger and resentment for so many years, it got them nowhere. It really got them nowhere apart from ill. And whether that's just stress, mental health stress, whatever, stomach problems, that's another classic example. Joints, headaches, tension, aches and pains, you name it, guys. There's a lot to be said about energy and how you channel that. Ultimately, what I want to say is this, that you're never too late. In fact, you're right on time. 40 is the perfect moment to basically rewrite your future, rewrite your story, rewrite the script of yours, and put it into something really useful, really productive, and most importantly, is going to help you get out of the situation that you're currently in for the better. So if anything I've said to you today resonates, please, please, please like, subscribe. I appreciate your time being here. And if you're building your own freedom plan, fantastic. Let me know what your freedom plan is. I'd love to know what you're up to. I find it really inspiring to hear other people's stories and comments. And just drop a comment below what your dream is. What's your dream after 40? What would you love to see happening or happen? Or are you doing? It's just amazing to know what people get up to when they go on past the age of 40. So if you're ready, it's time now, guys. Start it now. Let me know how you get on. Stay safe, stay blessed. Take care.